And
All right,
I
we're
can't get that certificate. What do you do? You can't get
Okay.
that certificate. Your kid doesn't get to play that.
And what's her name, Jenner, running for governor, and then
Caitlyn Jenner.
Caitlyn, and saying that she
Wants to
agrees.
protect our girls, like,
Yeah.
oh, right, please.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sitting here, I didn't realize how tired I was.
Okay.
I'm like, oh my God, I got my town hall tonight.
Tonight, I know. You ready? Want to say good afternoon, and we are back right here on the 95.3 FM, hallelujah. And we're talking with State Representative Allison Tant, along with Tallahassee City Commissioner Jack Porter. Listen, we have been so far having an amazing conversation about the life and the work that these two young ladies have been doing during the pandemic, and how they have been really connecting with our community, as well as different events, activities. So much is going on that it poses a challenge, but yet they're fighting through the challenge to make sure that our communities, our states are given what is needed. We just heard from Representative Tant about some of the rewarding moments in the Capitol, passing 3 bills. I want to come to you now, City Commissioner Jack Porter, to say what, since 2020 coming into office, what has been one or two of the most rewarding moments that you've had as the youngest city commissioner, and working to ensure that some of the things that you were championing for has now come to fruition?
I think the most rewarding thing by far is just the privilege to serve, to be there, to be a part of the process, to be someone who people come to when they have a concern, when they have a question, when they have an idea. To be a part of that is just extremely rewarding. A more specific example would be actually something that the city decided to explore a couple weeks ago that I brought forward, which is a community ID program, and something that a representative actually touched on, with whether it's returning citizens, our homeless population, our seniors, or people who are survivors of sex trafficking, of human trafficking, of abuse. This gives them an ID that they might not otherwise have if they can't qualify for whatever reason for a state driver's license or ID. And it lets them get vaccinated. It lets them connect to services that they already qualify for, whether it's setting up your utilities, getting CARES Act funding, or whatever it is. It's something we all take for granted. I actually met with a woman, helping her fill out her CARES application form. She said, I'm not working because my son, I just escaped an abusive relationship. I had to leave everything behind, their birth certificates, all of that, trying to get him signed up for Tempo. He's 17, I'm worried he'll get into trouble, so I'm staying home, trying to figure this out, and all kinds of things. And so that's what really brought that issue to light. I think it's a common sense step, and it's one of my first sort of successful, items that I brought to the commission, and so I'm excited to see it where it goes.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I know when it comes to an ID, it means the world to a person who's struggling to get them. Being a returning citizen myself, I know the many problems that many young men and young women who are in my condition face when it comes to that. So I know that it seems like an insignificant matter,
Right.
but it's a huge matter because ID is so important. So certainly I want to say that is something that is needed by everyone, because if you don't have an ID and the office of law enforcement stops you, you're in for some major problems.
Right. Well, and it's something actually that where this has been passed, you've got the Broward County Sheriff's Office supporting it and funding it. You've got the Miami-Dade police chief. I've spoken to our local law enforcement who are supportive. So I think it's going to be a great thing that benefits all of us. And then the other thing I want to mention that has been extremely rewarding is just working on the evictions crisis. Of course, it's an absolute mess and a crisis, but being able to connect people with services, with legal aid, with that support, giving them that, just you can vent to me and I'm here, I'm listening, and I'm going to work with you to get there. It's been amazing.
Well, let me applaud you, because I was doing some Facebook scrolling a couple of months ago.
Some research.
Yeah, just strolling, and I saw you having a town hall, and you were talking about evictions, and you were telling people to make sure, give me a call. And I'm saying to myself, how in the world she's going to respond to all of these people? But I had a young lady who reached out to your office and got a pleasant response and got the help that she needed. Hadn't had a chance to tell you that, but I want to thank you so much for that as we move into what I feel like is a time of shifting our communities, I think that our communities now are becoming more engaged in policies and procedures. I think that they're becoming more aware, wanting to know what's going on. And I think because of the experiences that you bring to the table, you really open up the awareness of people to say, you have a place, you have a seat in the council, you have a place at the table, your voice needs to be heard. With that being said, Representative Tent, you have been a drum major all of your life. You would say that all of your life. And the fact that you have been fighting so hard with the disability laws and procedures. I mean, my heart is just overwhelmed when me and Attorney Akbar came to you with a situation dealing with a kid who had been placed in incarceration, mentally challenged. No one really taking in and look at that. Mother's like losing her mind because nobody's paying attention. Yeah, so to see you step up and do what you have done has really been, I mean, because that's the new pipeline to prison, mental health.
Listen, we have in Leon County, we have over 5,000 students who are ESE students. In Broward, there's 28,000. Think about the number of people we're going to impact because of the law that we got passed. That's the number of children who are going to benefit from that, who are going to hopefully escape that pipeline because they're going to get the job training and the continuing education and the APD services and the VR like help. That's going to make a huge difference. And I was listening to you earlier. I love the fact that you're doing the constituency service work.
Absolutely.
We've been helping people. We've been very successful getting people their unemployment compensation claims processed in our office. It's just very rewarding to know that we can help people. And that's kind of the best part of the job because that's why we came, right?
Exactly.
You know, so that's why, you know, sitting in the chamber, having to listen to some of the stuff on the House floor was sometimes very difficult. And so knowing that we were like real people, and with that legislation in particular, real people, and with the APD language that I got passed, there's 22,000 people on the wait list who are now going to get that resource information that they weren't going to get prior to this. So that's just, it's that makes it worthwhile.
And you know, as me and Mataki constantly have conversations, whether it's over coffee, whether it's over Coca-Cola, whether it's over water, whatever it is, we have constant conversations. And to hear you talk about after we know that this legislation has been passed, I said to him, I hate that you and I are going to have to drum major now to become a watch committee to ensure. I said, but that's what we're going to do. And we're going to submit that because we see what is happening. And if it's going to be done right, somebody has to watch over the people who's supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. So
I don't think there's any notion that
absolutely
anybody's not going to be watching what they're going to be doing on this. I've got Department of Education has to come back with a study. They've got to put together a best practices and review and put together a program that brings some uniformity to this statewide so that these kids don't slip the net and end up like the mom that was in tears when we were talking about it together.
And I wanted to kind of shift to like the Democratic Party as a whole. You know, we're in a crucial place right now. I mean, like we talked about the governor's race and everything and what we see statewide. You ran the state Democratic Party for some years. And it seems like it's kind of a split almost between what people would say like a more progressive side of the Democratic Party and a more moderate side of the Democratic Party. Is the Democratic Party in the state of Florida, can we save it? And can this Democratic Party save us?
I think we have to. I don't think that we can let it go. And I think that all of us who have our differences of which lane we think we're riding in, we're going to have to set those lanes aside because it's worse than it's ever been. And I think that we're going to see, so we were talking a little while ago, when Charlie has announced his run for governor, we're already going to see Ben Diamond, a sitting member of the House of Representatives, previously going to be our leader. He's going to step into that. We're going to lose that seat. We have a special election in Broward, Palm Beach for Alcee Hastings' seat. That date has been set for November 2nd and then January, which is going to impact the next section,
Right.
when we are redistricting, and we are gonna have a super minority now, worse than we were before, because we're gonna lose at least, I think, 2 members out of the House and 2 members out of the Senate, Democratic members. So,
In the state.
like, yes, and so that's 2 fewer votes in each chamber for priority legislation that impacts human beings. And I will tell you that the most moderate of Ds generally hang with the Ds on our votes on the floor. We have 2 outliers to that, and I don't want to get into that here. But for the most part, when it comes to the humanity, the Democratic members of the chamber hang together on most of those issues. We do have some peel off on charter schools. We do have a peel off here or there on an issue here or there, but when it comes to voting rights, when it comes to this trans issue, well, we did have one pull off on that. But the vast majority of us are there, and we're gonna have to find a way to figure this out together, because the more we bifurcate ourselves, the worse it's gonna be for the rest of Florida, but counts on us to protect them, because there's not anybody protecting them.
What's your thoughts on it, Jack?
Well, I agree that we definitely have to get our act together, no matter what. You know, I really hate the partisan politics. I think it's a very toxic environment right now, and it's unfortunate because our democracy is something, you know, really special and sacred and
And it's
worth,
vulnerable. right
and
now.
vulnerable
Very.
and worth protecting.
We
and worth
can't
fighting
break it if
for.
we're not careful.
Exactly. So, you know, I think we need, as we were talking about earlier, everyone needs to get involved. Everyone needs to step up and to care about your neighbors, to fight for what you care about, to fight for what's right. And I think that, you know, when you focus on your love for the public, you know, justice is what love looks like in public. And that's where our focus needs to be.
Just find that common ground.
And certainly that's what primaries are for, but if we bludgeon somebody so bad they can't recover from a primary fight, then we're not gonna win. You know, we're not gonna win. And obviously, it's by design that our dates with the primary are so close to the general. In other states, the primary's in May and the general's in November, so the candidates have time to retool and restock the coffers, for example. We don't do that in Florida, and there's a reason for that. So we've got to be smart, and we've got to make sure that we do everything we can to get more. It's really numbers. It's all about numbers. And I do think that we're facing some headwinds. You know, and anytime whoever's in the White House, that party suffers headwinds in the midterm. So we're already going to have to overcome that, much less, anything else.
You know, I want to stick a pin in something you said, You said it's by design. If all of those who are listening to the broadcast, I want you to understand the power of how designing things work. Normally, it's not working for you; it's working against you.
Which is why the date has been set for that re-elect special election.
Right. So I want to say to you that are listening to this broadcast, myself along with Mataki, we are echoing this all the time. Your vote. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. Your engagement matters. You cannot sit back and say, it does not matter. The only way we're going to break the barriers that are being designed to stop us is that we've got to get up, unite. We may differ, but at the end of the day, let's still walk together to make the difference that needs to be made. So I wanted to input that because I know our listeners are listening, and someone just made a comment, said, good question. To you, and that's Brother Wes Hayes, who is a young man who is a returning citizen, got himself together. He's out in the community fighting, and he's involved. So he's concerned about how do we as a party work together to make the necessary change that we need to make.
Right. And I mean, I agree it's necessary, and I appreciate you all's answers.
Well, it means getting involved by knocking on doors for our candidates. It means getting involved by making those phone calls. It's the grassroots effort, and we both did a ton of that with our campaigns. I didn't, I raised a bunch of money, but I put it all in the ground, and that's really, really important. And because it's that neighbor to neighbor conversation that's going to carry the neighbor. It's not going to be a mail piece. It's not going to be a TV ad.
And that grassroots piece got attacked. Yeah, but it got attacked also in the legislation, like more on the voters' rights.
Well, on the voters bill, the voters bill that passed, like They definitely do not want you bringing any more than 2 ballots with you back to turn them in. Now, we did get, it was really draconian at first. They were going to basically say you had to have an ID to drop off at a drop box. That came out, thank God. Because like I don't know about you guys, but I use that Dropbox. My sons, I have 2 sons. My son with disabilities lives with me. And so I had his ballot. He came home from college from Jacksonville. He filled it out and I turned it in for him when he went home. My son Jeremy lives with me. He filled his out later. And so I took his back at a second time. And that one, I just ran through a drive-thru and dropped it off. To have to stop, pull out an ID, and also there was a provision that said you had to have the very same address. But you think about people living in nursing homes or ALS, or you think about one day when Jeremy is not living with me, or an elder person who like maybe doesn't have a daughter or son or grandson or daughter living at the same address. That's how draconian it was. That's how bad it was going to be, and that did not end up in the bill, but but now you can have even a stranger carry two ballots with them along with their own, and that's still
went from terrible to bad.
Well, correct, and I will tell you. But think about this: like I don't know about you guys, but like I had problems getting mail. I didn't get mail for days, and I was looking at my mail every day because I was expecting campaign information to come in the mail. So I was watching my mail delivery, and we went days without mail out where I live, and so and so. Like if you're worried about the mail being picked up, you're of course going to go drive it into the SOE's office. You're not going to take a chance. So that's so that is an issue, and that is something that is going to. I suspect that's going to land in court too before it's over.
Right. And on a separate point, really quickly, I think that we're not going to fix our democracy unless we deal with our campaign finance issues. And we've seen successful candidates who are grassroots candidates who reject corporate money, and I feel I was one of those candidates, and you can win, but we need a total overhaul of that system if we're going to get on track.
Yeah, we do.
Well, we're running out of time, but I'm sure you all know that me and Attorney Akbar are never out of words, but I want to say this to you, Commissioner. You have been out in the community. Oh, you're going to give us, okay. So we got an invoice. You have been out in the community. I see you all around. What are some of the things that you are hearing as you're out in the community? Just doing, not say, just doing. I mean, you're just out there doing.
Well, first of all, I want to give kudos to my team, my aide Christelis, my interns. They make all of this possible. And being out in the community, I think people are excited. I do. I think people are optimistic. They like the direction that they see the city going. They like the energy that we're bringing. But they are just ready to demand what is theirs, what they've been waiting a long time for, the investment, the engagement, that, just knowing that their voice matters. And so overall, I'm optimistic and I'm excited for what's to come locally.
Great. Well, Allison, you're just there.
I'm here every day.
Every day.
Yeah, and I respond to people's emails personally, and we're doing a town hall tonight. I did a mid-session town hall, a pre-session town hall, and I'm going to be knocking on doors soon, again, as soon as my husband's having knee replacement surgery, so I got to nurse him through that. Then I'll be back out, and I'm not good at nursing, but I'm going to be out and about doing all that stuff again very soon.
Right. Well, let me ask you, what do you think about all of as you can see, we've been able to see organizations, nonprofits unite to help communities sustain themselves, whether it was clothes, whether it was food. We've been seeing it.
That's Tallahassee. That's the magic of this community. I just love Tallahassee for that. People do step up for one another in this community. We are one of the most philanthropic communities in the state. So that is the magic of this community for me. Is the fact that we don't want to see another person hurting, and we do try to step up. And I appreciate the fact that you guys adopted a school. I think that's really good. Really great work.
Yeah, we're constantly. We're constantly just thinking of things that we should be doing, and we just go forth and doing it. We're grateful for many of our partners that come alongside of us. I tell Attorney a lot of times, that since we moved back into the community, the business is there. Everybody just knock on the door and say, can you write a check for this? And can you write a check for that? And I said, are there any other community wells that are there.
Right, well, so that's gonna come up, that's gonna be, I mean, I think it's a testament to the community starting to bounce back from everything. But I remember I don't remember when it was, maybe February, we stocked, stocked the closet over at Rickards. We did a whole thing where we provided, there's a teacher over there, he got an award as Teacher of the Year, and he needed supplies for like a mental health break closet for his students, including hygiene products for girls and snacks and healthy snacks. And I just did a call out and we stocked it stocked up really high. And that was really a fun thing to do. So I'll be doing some of that. I'll be probably back with my Teacher Tuesday event in August that I did for the last go round. And so that's the heart of why we're here, is doing for other people. That's why you're here having people like us across the table. It's their hearts for doing things for people.
Yeah. I mean, and those are the things that keep the community going. And I think that's what we saw during COVID as well, is trying to find ways to keep the community going by volunteering, by donating, by,
Yeah, going to restaurants. Remember we had that whole thing where we did the restaurant takeout at the beginning when it was so scary to try to keep our restaurants alive. And then, of course, all the vaccine information that we were, trying to get out to people. And also, keeping everybody safe.
We got a big surprise for you, so just wait.
We're going to bring in a vaccine. I'm going to be your worst mother-in-law now. I'm going to text you every day when we're talking.
We got to come. Hey, so listen, truly, this has been an amazing show today, and certainly we have been wonderfully blessed with two amazing ladies who are doing great work in our community. That the personality of Allison Tan and Jack Porter. Certainly, we want to thank you all so much. And Jack, I got the message late that I missed out on Top Flight, but I'm gonna catch you. You missed out too, so we just gonna make it a big night.
I'm too old for that. I got a town hall.
Hey, but certainly, that said a whole lot. I mean, for me, I got a call like, you ain't at Top Flight. Like, Jack said,
what was happening at Top Flight?
I tried to roll over, but being gay wouldn't let me. But certainly, that means a whole lot to be able to say, hey, I'm part of our community.
Absolutely.
And, so kudos to you. Anything else before we get ready to do?
No, man, I just want, the community to know that these are our elected officials and they show up, they're here, and they're accessible. And so I appreciate you all for coming in and letting us know what's going on in our state and in our city. So I appreciate you.
I put my cell number on every email that I send out. People call me all the time. I came to serve, not to be behind a curtain.
Right.
Wow. Well, certainly we thank you once again, and to all of you who are tuned into the broadcast, don't forget, follow them at Jack Porter. You can go to the Facebook page, Allison Tan. Keep up with what they're doing, because they're truly making footprints in the city and in the county and in the state to make our city-state a better place. With that being said, I'm Great James.
I'm Mutaki Akbar.
And this has been Wake Up Wednesday. By now, you should be awoke. Until next week, we'll see you right
So
here.
how's your baby? How's everything going?
He's going great.
Good. Sweet.
He'll be 4
I cannot believe it.
in June 27th.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's awesome.